growing at an increasing rate of biotech epiphanies. This particular universe has a Brahma with 4 heads. All the living entities of Earth have skulls filled with excavated caverns. Earth is a planet where living entities exchange valuable Lakshmi for a duck-like shaman to drill holes into their molars because they can't stay away from devouring crystals cursed in a white sea of cow bones, white sugar. These cavities have only enough room for the countless blank slates lying around somewhere in the philosophical void left discarded by a demoniac atheist named Steven Pinker. There is not much left to Earth except various flesh carriers of karma who constantly hanker for the inkling to nurse octopuses for their mana. The mantra is senseless jobs, absurd jobs, absurd jobs, absurd senseless jobs, and the right to give organs preemptively on licenses. Many earthlings worship the apple, but have mistakenly idolized its creator, Steve Jobs. The unions battle for the right to employ an ancient curse. They multiculturally dream of Nietzsche's green teas instead of the bastard sodas of the 80s. Every item of sustenance resembles espresso exchanged for buzzing quack Italian tutors and Botticelli's favorite breakfast muffins. Benedict nonsense, Benedict nonsense. For heaven's sake. Desperate and languished, short enough to limbo under a hermit's bush, scalded by the celestial pyre pillars, they have demons like Stephen Hawking, who has mastered the science of darkness and illusion. Neo-swastikistic alchemical formulas are turning gold into turds and are being served at local diners that disguise the excrements as chicken babies. Alchemy, in theory, has lost its luster. Alchemy, in principle, is too obtuse to follow. Alchemy in the mainstream news is too cute enough for girls named Stephanie to shop at foot zoos like Steve Madden. Earth has many conjunctive practices that number in the thousands with no excuse for logic. No reason not to recluse. Throwing deposit slips into a pond of golden apples, unleashing a 3-headed rabbit to feast on our immaculate Bambi. Years of scientific conditioning by the communist doctors, racism for distraction's sake with an intrinsic aptitude for anomaly. The Goethe of poetic dissidence on the 1976 and a half Declaration of Independence, gloating in a rotten root beer fest. Unable to comprehend the meaning of it all. The most promising factor of the rock Earth is that Steve Buscemi, the famous intergalactic conquistador, was found squalling in a place called California, surrounded by fake deserts, fake jungles, fake tundras, and other settings sanctioned for the corruption of the population's pomegranate garden. They don't speak the language on Earth. The despondence of communication is astral warping, ransacking the flooded plains of dreams, grasping materialism like its breath. Backpacks are filled with files of loved ones, begging the spirit for a free pass so they don't have to come back to this. So this that is dominated by smoke tendrils, the dragon's mustache. This that is controlled by mirrored slants, the snake's eyes. This that's spelt wrong since you were all born. This that reaches out to every homeless guardian. This that wonders what a millionaire smells like. This that jumps sight unseen, that winged the brilliant spelling R&B champion off of Skin Bleach. Now he's holy cow. The omnipotent ombudsman daughter replaced every earring she's ever stole. And yet, every single American working family is paying back the government in footsteps. Every night, the red meat citizens pace back and forth, struggling to remain less anxious, justified as cannibals, while the big-time alchemists are bubbling and chalking up kill-you dust to fill your corpus. And your active child's riddled, flimsy corpus. The ex-hippies can't translate the flora in their pipes to bliss because this wants them dead, no matter how high they get. This is in control. This has taken over every inch of permeable landscape on the planet America. Most of the snatched even blame a godlike thing for their smothered souls. Every morning, Steve Martin orchestrates the grand illusion and directs the arrows on the compass of strong women that wear them as wedding rings. This is finer than the silk hidden in the ass of a worm. Don't let the earth's bad habit of drought lower the gust of vapor in the four-headed Brahminical temple on your iambic steamboat pentameter. You can't write what you don't remember, and so you've been drinking like a member of the Ocean Committee. Hey is when the banker in the trucker hat is at last call, calling for his boss, begging him for slave tides and tabs of dollar bills to come over and bless his escort companion with a PBR. Hey is when a neon raver is all hopped up from organic ecstasy from Whole Foods, when the final straw is poking out from the final drink, when our friend that likes anime is begging the bartender to take their picture so that the night can remember their braced teeth glinting behind Martinicanized glassware etched by cold gestures on the watered out sunspots at the salt-lipped rim of the sun. Hey is like when a mother who loves to bake apple pies is way down low, petitioning the bar angels to tuck her in her adultery armpits into her flabby arms. The ransacking bartenders can say hey all day in a nonchalant way, so chill that the under-18ers forget they've left Earth and have stepped into Mars so high that they're parachuting from the point of bungee, rowing down from pockets of bliss, regifted from a severely uncomfortable kiddie carnival. I promised that I would teach you how to roam the byways of the country like the skin spirit of buffalo yonis. I made sure to trade souls with the coyote dusk that creeps dissident at the promise of sunrise, sowing trails of oats back to the prescription Candyland on the wings of a karaoke elemental. I sang in the key of air, and every single nightmare came running, eyes open, grinning from ear to ear. I screamed, hey! Concrete! Concentrate on the roaming aspects of atoms and toss them like a father tosses A's, B's, C, D, and F-bombs. Start by exploring those hands tied to your wrists, those ranges of mounds and mountains with snuffed-out molehills where salt springs from fountains with sand sprinkled on them. Hey, this self-esteem is more like an ocean of desert every day. Currently, currents are dictating how jellyfish partners travel from the sea to the cactus bed, softly sugar-coating floating algae, and even rodents that crawl the trees of the green East Forest at the slums of Dallas and Oak Cliff. They know about this. We've all woken up next to the Women's Forum on Ross because there's a 24-hour oasis with a coffee well that's begging the Catholic kingdom for its sake who's sick for Jesus. They're searching for issue to uncross the saltires, unguided, no longer knowledgeable of what constitutes a proper leg amputation. Several applications are accepted daily by call centers for grants that belong to the recipients of Phantom Limb Syndrome scholarships. The grandfather clause is penetrating your thighs, poking the eyes out of potato chips scattered all over the living room kitchen linoleum. The refrigerator is plugged into the same outlet as a television serial killer that is on criminal watch for Chocula Smacks crack dealers who deal cereal from the Boys and Girls Club down the street. safely at night as the tiniest representation of the entire material world, pile their porcelain bowls, precious and fragile like fetuses, into piles of glorious heaps of gorging. I lay here starving because the bees hipped me to a cover-up. Listening to the dimensional intersonic praying for the moment where I never have to eat again. Watching the rest of the advanced race drown in lakes, rivers, and streams while holding their Blu-ray players. Saying goodbye to Steve Irwin forever.